This is County Executive Warren Evans, and this is Inside Wayne County.
Hello and welcome to Inside Wayne County. I'm your host, Lloyd Jackson, and this show is designed to give you important information and also keep you informed about what's going on inside Wayne County government. Today we've come full circle on this show. We started with the Wayne County Executive, letting residents know the problems the county was facing and how he was going to tackle them. Now he's back to give residents an update on the progress of Wayne County in his first year at the helm. He is the Wayne County Executive, Warren C. Evans. Mr. CEO, it's good to have you back here on Inside Wayne County.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
Let's start with the fact that when you first came in, you talked about how bad the finances were. It was really bad, you said. You didn't know how bad until you brought these auditors in to really take a look at the numbers to see how deep the hole was. Were you really surprised? How surprised were you how bad it was?
I was a little bit surprised that it was worse than I anticipated, but I think I anticipated that it was worse than public knowledge had indicated. And it's really interesting. We brought in some of the most serious financial people we could find, Ernst & Young's audit, and Bob Dadow from Oakland County, who's kind of known universally as a guy who can really drill down and get to the bottom of it. And the only thing I asked was, just give it to me straight. Don't play around with it, because we have to know how serious it is to know how seriously we have to tackle it in the short term.
So much done in such really a little time, a year. I mean, for as much as the county was going through, you took it on head on. Are you surprised that it was so quick?
I'm a little surprised that we got as much done in as short a period of time as we did. But when you're starting out, you don't really know how well your team's going to gel. We've got an excellent team. The team's gelled extremely well. And from where we were 12 months ago to where we are now, I think is just tremendous. But I always have to put the caveat in there that we're not through yet. There's still more work to be done, and now I'm starting to hear, they don't say it this way, but the speculation is kind of, well, phew, we got most of that done, so now we can go back to business as usual. We're not going back to business as usual, or we'll be in the same place again. And so it's going to take years to get the retirement funding where it needs to be. And so even though we've made a lot of progress, there's still a lot that's got to be done, and it's going to take years to do it, which means not only are we going to have a balanced budget every year, which is rare for Wayne County, we're actually going to have a surplus, because it's the amount above the budget that I have to put back in to shore up pensions and to fix the jail problem.
You and your team put together a recovery plan to get rid of that structural deficit, and it is basically it's almost all gone.
Right, $52 million to start with, and we're down to under $4 million, and by April we will be able to absorb that $3.7 million too. And that's the one I take the most pride in.
Okay.
Because that means every year, and it has been for a number of years, we always spent $52 million more than we took in revenue. So it's an ongoing structural problem. That's why they call it a structural deficit. An accumulated deficit, I mean, you could get one-time pennies from heaven, pay that off, and it's over.
Yeah.
The structural deficit, not only do you have to cut and reorganize to get there, but then you've got to make sure that every year you follow it to stay where we are. So, yeah, we've made a lot of progress there, and I think I'm more proud of that than anything.
You also made progress with the union negotiations, because we had these contracts that were open, 11 I believe that were open. You had to negotiate with them. Things were not going quite the way you wanted them to go, so you asked the state to come in and do a review of the finances, and out of that came a consent agreement, which basically helped get these negotiations started back again and get some solution.
Yeah, there's no question it gave the county a little more leverage. But another thing I'm proud of is actually there were 13 bargaining units that we came to terms with. The consent agreement gives you power to impose, but out of great respect to the unions, its leadership, and the county commission, we got it done. without
Having to go
without
there.
using additional powers. Did it give us leverage? Sure, it gave us leverage, but at the end of the day, I like to believe that everybody realized, number one, the hole was extremely deep, and that the long-term financial viability of the county meant we had to make some serious concessions right there. One of the things that really made that work in my mind was the whole concept of shared sacrifice, which meant, nobody wants to give. But if everybody's giving, it's more palatable than when you're getting it from certain places and not others. I mean, we've worked to reduce profits from vendors, salaried employees in our shop. They came in with a 5% reduction in pay. They haven't gotten that 5% yet. And when we went through all of the union negotiations, we did not take any additional salary from them. So everybody's giving. People have given big time in health care. The expectation is that everybody in the county does the same thing. At this point, we're not completely there, but I'm going to be real clear. I'm not going to be hypocritical about it at all. If I've asked and gotten a number of folks to make the concession, I'm going to continue to ask everyone else to give their fair share, and that includes me.
You said on the first show as well that we may have a consent agreement, but it will not be bankruptcy. We will not have an emergency manager. We sit here now, end of the year. You were right.
Yeah, I don't think we have there's any likelihood that either of those things would pop up now. But you heard the same things I heard at the time. Oh, consent agreement, that's just a precursor to an emergency manager. And then that's just a precursor to, I know the game, and then you're going to go into bankruptcy. Right. Well, we tried then to say, no, we think we can do this. And we have a team working on it. We do not have to go into bankruptcy. That may be the prototype a lot of places, but that doesn't mean we have to follow. I don't think bankruptcy helps anybody. And you don't know how you're going to come out of it until you come out of it. And I didn't want to gamble like that. And I think most Wayne County folks didn't want to gamble like that either.
I want to put up a graphic right now, and it shows that the accumulated deficit went from 82 million in January to 0, so that's been wiped out completely.
It has.
The structural deficit was at 53.4 million in January. It's now down to 3.7. The unfunded healthcare liabilities went from 1.3 billion in January to 481 million now, so that's about $1 billion cut out there. And then the pensions were funded at 45% in January. They sit now at 46% there. You have to be pleased. I know there's more work to do, but you have to be pleased of what you've done so far.
Yeah, no, we extremely are. Very, very pleased. But to get the pensions up to where.
Do you see light at the end of the tunnel now after this first year when it comes to the county's finances? I know there's more to do, but do you see some light? Because I think before you might have saw a train.
Yeah, I do see more light, and part of it is the economy is getting better. And I think we're doing the right things to be aligned with that growth. I think our tax revenue from property taxes is going to go up. There are more people moving in. The property values are starting to go up, which in and of themselves raise the revenue. So I think there's going to be a combination of more revenue. We'll continue to cut costs, and we'll shore up those areas that aren't where they should be. And then hopefully after that, we start giving our employees what it is that I think they deserve in additional raises. I mean, nothing would make me happier than to be able to increase what we pay our employees. I mean, at the end of the day, they get it done. They're the ones who do the work. And I'm fully cognizant of that, but I also understand you can't give them money that you don't have, and you can't go bankrupt trying to please everyone early on. But I think we'll get there.
You went from a recovery plan to the reorganizational plan because you found that government wasn't really working well in Wayne County.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things happened. One is in some of our departments, particularly wellness, which is a combination of some other departments, we saved money by reorganizing, and they provide better service. And that's what we should always be looking for. It is not true that throwing a body at a problem always means you can solve it better. Sometimes it's organizational and it's structural and it's putting the right talent in the right place. And so I think that's a prime example of where we saved money, but we also provide a better product.
Also, so we combined some departments or some divisions into the Wayne County Department of Health, Veterans, and Community Wellness, but also we got rid of EDGE as well, which was the Economic Development Growth Engine. You said something too on that first show and when you came into office that you had not seen anything that was started and finished when you came in, and that had to change.
Yeah, the economic development hustle in a lot of places is everybody that's involved in a project, regardless of how remote it is, they all take credit for the overall number. You know, so we assist with permitting for some other city doing a deal. Well, you know, we're going to say that's our deal. It's not the way that it really is. And so, you know, I'm not looking to build a Taj Mahal or any of those pie in the sky things. I think we try to help people with housing. We help create the kinds of things that bring both jobs and increase tax base to Wayne County. And if we keep it at that level and do it comprehensively, we'll be doing more for Wayne County than any one big beautiful building with somebody's name on it is going to do.
And I want to put up another graphic about the Economic Development Corporation, which is what we have now. And they negotiated a purchase agreement with Paul's Real Estate Investment to purchase more than 200 acres of county-owned land in Huron Township. We have that lean and efficient Brownfield Redevelopment Authority approving 16 new projects in communities like Romulus, Detroit, and Highland Park. Also, the Avenue of Fashion Business District, the lighting grant that was provided by you, $106,000. So I know you don't shy away from the big ticket items, but it seems like what you're doing now is really affecting the communities and the residents in our communities.
Sure, I think so. The Avenue of Fashion is just a really big deal because it showed cooperation from both the city and the county on the same project. And that's not something that happens all the time. City did an excellent job of putting street lights all throughout the city. But we talked them into putting an extra arm on the street light that's a pedestrian arm, so it covers the sidewalks. We also got LED lighting to go up and down the street to illuminate out toward the street on the sidewalk and in the alleys. 70% of the businesses in that area are women-owned businesses, and the reality of that is their working hours tend to be when it's daylight until it's dark.
Right.
And in the winter, that's not enough time to make your money. You know, that's not when people shop. That's only when they, you know, the folks were scared to stay in the stores too long, and people, you know, uncomfortable with leaving their cars out in dimly lit areas. So I think that's gone over really, really well. The installation's still going on, but I can see that going in many other neighborhoods where we have, you know, small businesses that are trying to stay viable, whether it's Detroit, River Rouge, anyway, it doesn't make any difference where it is. The concept makes an awful lot of sense. It creates public safety. It helps the store owners. The more they can build and earn and do stuff, the more our tax base is. It's a win-win if you do it the right way. So we're trying to work on smaller projects, and hopefully that will pay a big dividend.
The Department of Health, Veterans, and Community Wellness combined saved the county some money, delivers more efficiently now the services, and it's a no wrong door type of policy. So if someone comes in, let's say for a vaccination, they can also get information on some of the other services that we provide, and it's a better way and a more efficient way to deliver services.
It is. And part of it is the case management. Case management is so much more effective. Now we look at the whole family, not just you're a veteran, go over here. Your child that needs a vaccination, you go over here. And the databases weren't looking at the whole family.
Right.
And so now we're able to kind of see a family unit, see what its needs are, and provide them in a more holistic way than we were before. And we're doing it at less cost.
Absolutely.
So
let's talk about public safety, because you know, you more than anyone, you know, being a former assistant prosecutor, sheriff, Detroit police chief, you know what these officers, ladies and men, and all of these different departments are going through and what they need. I had the sheriff on here on Inside Wayne County recently. He told me that you guys worked together, and it was the first time in his memory that he actually had a realistic budget. And you know how those fights
sure.
used to
I mean,
go.
I used to be in them.
Right.
You know, I can't remember other than this year, and we take pride in it, when the prosecutor and the sheriff were aligned with the county executive on any budget. And the reason is because previous county executives have not tried to understand the sheriff is elected by the people. The prosecutor is elected by the people. I don't choose who they are. My job is to give them enough of a resource to do what they need to do. And in order to do that, I got to understand what they need. I mean, this year we gave deputies a 5% pay increase. Overall, that wouldn't seem fair, except if you understand we had 80 to 100 vacancies because we were paying starting deputies less than $13 an hour. We were never going to hire people. If we have that kind of vacancy rate, officers are working tremendous amounts of overtime. It's costing us more money. It's costing us in the fatigue and the health of the officers. I mean, sometimes you have to step outside the box and do something to fix a problem. It's not personal, it's fixing a problem. The prosecutor's been fighting for years to try to get money for the rape kits. Well, and she's done a great job of it, but at the end of the day, now she knows how many rapists are out there in our community. Who's going to do the warrants? Who's going to arrest them? Who's going to prosecute them? That's why we gave her $1 million. I mean, certainly we could have put that $1 million somewhere else, but there's nothing more important than public safety and protecting the citizens of the county. And so giving her that money allows her to go at, I hate to even say this because it makes me a little uncomfortable, but we have 550 some odd serial rapists that we've already identified in this county. They've raped more than once. They're not going to stop. I mean, that's what they do, unfortunately. And the sooner we're able to investigate those cases, prosecute them, and put them into the criminal justice system, we're not going to be as safe as we should. So that was a priority. Did that make her budget where she'd like it to be? No, but it showed that there's collaboration, and with the money we have, we're doing the best we can to help solve a much bigger problem.
And you also gave her 5,000 square feet in the Guardian building for the task force members and the people who are working on that. So that's a great help as well. She needed the room. Yeah,
and that's a cost that she wasn't prepared to be able to bear. But obviously these guys can't work on these cases in campus marshes or on the ice rink. They got to have an office and a room and a roof over their heads. So yeah.
What do you see as things that need to be tackled in 2016?
Biggest thing, I think, is come to some conclusion on the jail. I think that's a tremendous albatross around the neck of the county and the city. I mean, I've had days when I'd leave the office and thought we'd really knocked it dead that day on some fiscal issue or something else, and I'm really feeling pretty good. And I ride past I look up at it and drop my head on the steering wheel and say, and I think a lot of people see that. It's become a sign of an inept Wayne County. And symbolism is important too. So we need to get that thing figured out, fixed. Doesn't have to be completed overnight, but I'll tell you, if people driving down there saw some caterpillars and some hard hats and some sparks coming off those beams, it would immediately change the image because it would indicate that we're rolling, we're getting somewhere to do something. So that's one thing. The other is quality of life issues, so that people really want to stay in the county and the city, not just to come work, but to live, raise the kids. You know, park systems can do better. There are a lot of quality of life issues, the lighting issues we talk about, can be better. And really to start doing the deeper dive on how we can all help with the public school system, which we both know, a lot of young people moving into the city right now, but when they start having children, and school becomes an issue, I'm not so sure we're able to keep them. So sustained viability throughout the county, I think, hinges on good schools, and unfortunately, Detroit and a few other suburban communities are having some distress. I think we need to pitch in and try to help.
Warren C. Evans, thank you so much for being here. Things are going well in Wayne County. A great team put together, but of course, a great team needs a good manager. You are that person, and pleasure to have you here. Happy holidays to you and your family.
I appreciate that. Thanks very much. You too.
Okay. And thank you for watching the inaugural year of Inside Wayne County. Stay tuned for upcoming shows in the new year as I keep you informed of the many great actions, programs, services, and improvements inside Wayne County. I'm Lloyd Jackson. Have a happy and safe holiday season and a prosperous new year.